what to do. You found an animal in your rental. So what's next? Don't worry, I'm here to help. I'm Jennifer Rulins. I'm a real estate investment educator and advocate, and I'm broker and owner of One Focus Property Management. So I want to tell you what my team does when we find an animal in a rental that shouldn't be there. The first thing we do, document that animal. Now, sometimes that's done right when it's seen, because if it's a member of team and we see the animal, we're going to document it with a photo right then. But sometimes we get reports from other people. Perhaps a neighbor claims they're hearing something. Somebody drives by the property and kind of sees an animal in the window. So the first step is to document it. And that might mean if we don't catch it right when we identify it, we have to go into the property. So we'll provide notice that we're going to go in and do an inspection. And of course, we're going to be looking for the animal. We're also going to be looking for signs that an animal is there. So that could be smell, that could be hair, that could be toys or animal care products, things like that. So we're going to document that there's an animal there. Step 2, we issue a lease violation. So this is normally a written document accompanied by a phone call, letting them know, hey, remember this clause in your lease? No animals without express written permission. Well, we found and identified this animal in your rental unit. And usually at that point, that's when you're going to hear a variety of things. I'm pet sitting, I just got it, I found it outside, or this is a reasonable accommodation, I have a disability. Okay, any one of those things is what you could hear next. But this lease violation is very clear. There are only 2 to 3 ways to compliance. The first way to compliance would be to remove the animal immediately within 24 hours. Perfect. The second way to compliance would be to request a reasonable accommodation and for it to be granted. In order for that to work at One Focus, we're going to get proper documentation and have that reviewed under the Americans with Disabilities Act protocols. And then, of course, if reasonable, we will issue that accommodation. The third way that they might be able to get that animal in compliance is if you have a pet policy that allows for animals like this. And if so, if you're like us, we've got some registration requirements, information documentation, and a monthly pet rent charge. So a lot goes into that, but there are 2 to 3 ways that person can get their animal compliant. Step 3. So if within that 24 hours that animal has been brought within compliance, great, you can move to the last step. But if it hasn't, if you're One Focus, in our lease there says after 24 hours of identifying an animal in your property, if it remains, we're going to charge a $100 a day fine. You're going to see why later. It's not because we want $100 a day. That isn't it. But it does give some teeth to the clause we have in our lease. So we will start charging that $100 a day and make it known to the tenant that we're doing that while we continue to pursue through phone calls, emails, property visits, the removal of the animal. Step 4, if we still don't have this property compliant, we're going to go ahead and file a notice to quit, or maybe even a landlord-tenant complaint if we're going to use the waiver. So we're going to proceed with eviction with all the documentation we have and records of the communication that we've been attempting to get this remedied. The 5th step, you follow through. One of the hardest ones, but you must follow through all the way to the point of possession if this tenant can't get this property compliant with the lease. And the last step, the easiest one to miss. This could come in at any point when compliance is achieved. So if compliance is achieved through, maybe they've achieved a reasonable accommodation, they're disabled, or your pet policy allows it. Well, if you're One Focus, we'll do a pet inspection 60 to 90 days after move-in, making sure that animal is living in that home properly, cleanly, and in agreement with the animal addendum. If the animal is removed from the home or reported to have been removed from the home, we would do another follow-up visit ensuring that that animal is no longer there. So a 6-step process, easy enough, just stick to it.